Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Bell. Today is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. Well, let's start off with the Board of Commissioners roll call. Commissioner Fournier, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
And Commissioner Scar, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's jump right in with Adventist Health Tillamook and President Eric Swanson.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
17 patients in the hospital today, plus 2 brand new babies. Surgery had 11 cases yesterday. Ambulance crews did 4 911 transports, 1 transfer, 2 transports home. There's 89 patients boarding in emergency departments across Oregon. It's 24 more than yesterday. 278 discharge delays, which is 10 more than yesterday as well. And unless you've got questions for me, that's all I've got for you this morning.
I don't think I have any questions for Eric. My fellow commissioners, do you? If not, thank you. And we can move on. I'll check in and see if Representative Javity is with us this morning. Senator Weber is not. Hey, good morning. I'm so glad you're here.
Hey, good morning. Glad to be here. We have, this is our final update before the short session starts next Monday. The legislature is being called back to Salem. We'll be there for 6 weeks until the second week of March. And from the look of it, it's going to be a pretty busy and full session, lots of bills covering a variety of topics. Some of the bills I'm introducing this session are the transient lodging tax bill will be coming back. Senator Weber and I, as well as a couple of other legislators, are working on getting that through this time, and that would not increase the tax on anybody. It doesn't change how much the tax is, but it does change how the counties and cities will be able to use the money that they do collect. We're still supporting tourism, but giving cities and counties more flexibility on how to use those tax dollars locally. Those dollars don't go back to the state. They stay in our community for the counties and the cities to use on things like infrastructure and sewer, law enforcement, water, roads, whatever honestly is necessary to help support the community to make it a place for tourists to visit, but also for us to live in. So looking forward to that, and still have a lot of good support. That was the one that nearly made it through in the long session, but because of some last second political drama, it didn't make it, and we're hopeful it'll make it this time. So I'll keep you updated on that. It's one to watch closely. Another bill I'm introducing is about open primaries. Right now in Oregon, every primary election we have, you have to be registered with one of the major parties if you want to vote for the candidates that are registered in who are running in that party. So if you want to vote for a Republican, you need to be registered as a Republican. And the Democrat, the same. The trouble is that almost 50% of voters in the state of Oregon are not registered with the major party. And so they are locked out of participating in the primary elections when it comes to choosing their representatives. Now, in a district like Coast, it's pretty competitive, and generally in the November election, everybody has to have a say between two candidates, and it usually can be a pretty close race. But there are lots of districts in the state where it's not really an election because everything leans so far one direction or the other. It might be an overly blue district or an overly red district, and then only a small fraction of the voters in those districts get to choose who's going to be the representative. So even though, for example, say it's a district down in Josephine County where it's a strong Republican district, there's only 30% of the voters there are Republican, and so they're the ones that are going to pick between all the Republican candidates. by the time the general comes, it's pretty much already selected who's going to win, and the majority of voters didn't really get a say in that process. So by introducing this bill, everybody would get a say. You get to pick a candidate, and the top two candidates would advance to the general election. We think that'll give everybody more of a say. It will tend to bring things to a more moderate type candidates that aren't too polarizing, and gives voters, honestly, at the end of the day, the most say in who's going to be the representatives. Also supporting a bill that will require federal officers to wear masks, not to wear masks, to not wear masks, and make it so they're identifiable, so that they can be, so that the general public knows who they're interacting with, and that we can increase accountability and transparency. And working on concepts that will create a fund for people who have had members of their family seized by federal officers like ICE and are now without a wage provider or earner for their family, and something provides some support for these families that find themselves suddenly without their wage earners or caregivers. But the big focus of this session will be on budget gaps. We are facing a shortfall because of the tax cuts that were part of HR 1. We talked about this before on this call, but there's about $1 billion shortfall, or $1 billion impact to our budget, which has created at one point about a $400 million shortfall, which is huge for the state. And basically every program we're looking at is on the table for cuts. Now, that shortfall's decreased down to $67 million, which is a breath of fresh air, but it's still requiring some cuts. We will know on February 4th, next week, whether that number has gotten smaller or bigger. And based on that, we'll start making some recommendations on what programs, if any, should be cut, how much that will be affected. But some of these are really tough choices. Some of these will impact families. They'll impact people with disabilities. They'll impact law enforcement, they'll impact education, and they are, those consequences can be pretty severe. And so we're hopeful that we can find a pathway through it that doesn't impact the most vulnerable members of our community. We're going to try to prioritize things, but honestly, going into it, it's lawmakers, including myself, and I'm sure Senator Weber and others, very worried about what will be cut and what consequences will be as a result. So we're also looking at other options to minimize those cuts, like a tax disconnect, where we would have different deductions available that would than what the federal government offers, and that might minimize some of those. So I don't have a ton of details on that. That's something that's still being ironed out, but we're really kind of looking at every single possibility to make it so that we can get through the next biennium with as little disruption to people's lives as possible. And that is my update.
Thank you so much. To my fellow commissioners, do you have some questions or comments for the representative? Well, if not, I feel free to jump in if you do, but I would like to say thank you so much for championing the TLT bill again, and thanks to Senator Weber as well. She's in a water caucus meeting this morning, so she's not with us. It's so important to local budgeting, to our ability to function and pay for the things that we provide when tourists are here. So it's so important to cities and counties, and it's really good work. And I'm grateful that you tried it last time and that you have the perseverance to stay with it and champion it again. And last time you got further than it's ever been before. So I'm really grateful for your work on that. And the other things that you mentioned are fascinating as well. The open primaries, I think, is a great idea because we have so many independents and so many non-affiliated voters. And people, I just think it's respectful to voters to allow them to vote in primaries outside of their parties. You know, we're more than just a two-party system. So I think that's terrific. And I'm fully supportive of law enforcement not wearing masks.
Well, thanks for saying all that, and I appreciate the support. I agree, especially with what we see happening in Minnesota and around the country. It's a sense of fear and lawlessness that is kind of permeating communities. People want answers. It doesn't seem like there's real accountability, and I think anything we can do to hold our government accountable and keep them transparent and keep things transparent and do what we can to keep the public safe is our first obligation. Obviously, we want to support the laws and the enforcement of those laws. We want to do it within the framework that we've set up and within the bounds of what we've authorized them to do, and not allow them, anybody, regardless of whether you're the general public or law enforcement, to skirt around that accountability and that transparency. And so there's not a ton that we can do as a state to bind the hands of federal agents, but we're doing what we can to make it so that we can at least hold everybody accountable and keep the public safe. And I think this is one small step. There are many others that are being worked on in the legislature that are, I feel like, nibbles at this, but we're doing what the state can do, and of course, some of it will have to work its way through the system. This will go to the voters if this passes, and be a constitutional amendment, so it's not a done deal if it passes, and the voters will have the final say on it. But I think it's important to let the voters weigh in on that. And I should also say, I failed to mention the transportation tax. That we know the signatures were gathered. There was initially a thought that the governor might be able, or the legislature might be able to repeal the tax that the general public has said they want to have a vote on because they don't agree with it. That has since legal opinions coming from the lawyers in the Capitol and throughout the state have said you can't do that. It has to go to a vote. And so I think right now the likelihood is that will go to a vote in the primary election in May. Now that might change, but I think that's the plan right now. In the meantime, that transportation funding is on ice, and no money will be coming in, and that puts the state, but also the city and the county in a bind because their costs still exist, but they don't have the revenue to cover those costs. And the longer we wait to get some clarity on this, the longer it will take the legislature to come up with an alternative option. And so my hope is that in May, we can have the public weigh in, then the legislature can go back to work to act to create something, an alternative to provide some resources for cities, counties, and the state. I know there's a lot of passion about, whether this should be in November and May, and I think there's some good arguments to be made either way. But I think at the end of the day, when you just look at the policy of what needs to be done and the problem we're trying to fix, I think the sooner we can get some resolution and some answers, the better for everybody. And we'll let the elections and the voting kind of work its way out, but put that as a second seat, in the back seat to what just needs to happen as far as governing. So looking forward to that resolution as well.
Thank you. So finally, we would love to hear from you during the short session, but am I assuming correctly that you'll be in session on Tuesday mornings at 8?
Yeah, I think the committee meetings are actually, I think it's Monday, Wednesday mornings. I have an 8 a.m. meeting, and then Tuesday, Thursdays, I think my committee meetings are in the afternoon. So I will double check that. If that's the case, I'll let you know offline, but I believe I'll be able to make the 8 o'clock Tuesday calls for the short session as
wonderful
on the research right now. So
Oh, that'd be fabulous. Yeah, we'd love to hear updates in real time. That'd be great. All right,
Yeah,
thank you so
absolutely.
much.
All right, have a good day.
You too. Okay, with that, let's move on to Tillamook Family Community, or Tillamook County, rather, Community Health Centers, and Camille Sorensen.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
First of all, we've been receiving some calls about a reported case of bird flu in the county, and it is also considered highly pathogenic avian influenza, referred to as HPAI, and that was found on a Tillamook County farm. The Oregon Department of Agriculture has confirmed a case in a Tillamook County poultry flock. One human is currently being monitored for exposure. I can say there are currently no other cases detected in any other animals, including cows and humans. The likelihood of a human contracting HPAI is very low, less than 2%, according to some studies from the CDC, Journal of Science, and World Health Organization. For people who are confirmed contacts with an animal with HPAI, prophylactic treatment for exposure is available. That treatment is administration of a drug or generic form of Tamiflu. Because HPAI is a communicable disease that can be found in domestic animals, when it's detected, the Oregon Department of Agriculture is considered the lead agency. The state veterinarian and their team take the lead in the investigation and activate local public health if humans are exposed. It is the job of your local health department, that is us, to monitor the health of any humans that have been exposed. Any person who is a confirmed contact of an animal with HPAI is monitored for symptoms for 10 days after their last exposure. Those individuals are also offered prophylactic treatment of, I can't say this word, oseltamivir. Any information about these individuals is protected health information and will not be shared with the public. Symptoms that are monitored include fever, headache, sore throat, eye irritation, headache, cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle, body aches, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. It's important to remember that these symptoms are like many other acute illnesses. HPAI should not be the first thing that comes to mind. If anyone's experiencing symptoms, please contact your primary care provider or visit an urgent care center as needed. We are also getting questions from the community asking if their food is safe to eat. The broad answer is yes. If you're getting your meat, eggs, and dairy from a grocery store, it is safe to eat following standard cooking recommendations. If you have your own animals for the production of meat, eggs, or dairy, you should follow standard recommendations for their care and processing. You should not eat any meat, eggs, or dairy from sick animals. If you have sick animals, contact your local veterinarian. And for more information on the safe care and processing of homegrown products, you can visit websites for the CDC or the Oregon State University Extension Office and the Oregon Department of Agriculture. As requested last week, I have a little information regarding the current flu season. While seasonal influenza activity remains elevated both nationally and in the state of Oregon, the overall infection rate is tracking closely with previous season and is on a downward trend after a bit of a spike after holiday season. In our region, which covers both Tillamook and Clackamas counties, 11.2% of specimens tested positive last week compared to 15.5% the week prior. Influenza A remains to be the most reported virus this season. Overall immunization rates are tracking less than previous years, and immunization continues to be the most effective way to protect yourself against infection or serious complications arising from influenza and other disease. If anyone would like more information regarding the updated influenza infection rates and more, you can go to www.oha.gov and search for flu bites. The information is updated weekly throughout the flu season. That usually starts being reported in October. And finally, leads us to a reminder of our all ages walk-in vaccine clinic on February 22nd from 12 noon until 4 p.m. No appointment is necessary, and vaccines are available for parents, children, caregivers, anyone. The vaccine clinic takes place just before Oregon Immunization Exclusion Day on February 25th. Do you know if your child is up to date with their immunizations? Oregon law requires certain vaccinations for school and child care attendance. For a list of exemptions, please check with your child's school or child care. Eligibility for vaccines vary by age, and many health plans cover the cost of vaccines. If you are under or uninsured, a sliding scale fee is available. No one is turned away for their inability to pay. Other reminders are we will have a care coordinator at Houseless Connect on Wednesday, providing resources and information about the services available at public health, our medical and dental clinics. We encourage everyone that is attending to stop by and say hi and see what we can provide you with. And finally, we want to make sure everyone is aware that our clinics and offices will be closed on Monday, February 16th in observance of President's Day. And that is all I have for you today. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Camila, for that. Oh, thank you for that very informative report. I appreciate the information about the bird flu and also about the human flu that I asked for last week. Thank you. And it's encouraging to know that the influenza is on the decline at the moment. So thanks a lot for the updates.
You are more than welcome.
Okay, with that, let's move on to, we don't have Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy this morning. Gail Nelson is not available. So let's move on to Tillamook Family Counseling Center and Amanda Bunger.
Hello, everybody. I just have a quick update. Good morning. I just have a quick update today. We were approached by the Headlight Herald, and they're doing a special publication about keeping kids healthy and safe. And two of my staff jumped at the opportunity to write a little column about mental health and inclusion for children. So I'm not exactly sure when that's coming out, but we always appreciate any opportunity to get information out to the community about mental health and obviously keeping kids healthy and safe. So look for that soon. In the past, I think 2 updates I've talked about are new hires and who we're bringing on board and what their positions are. So I thought I'd just give a brief census of TFCC and who we're seeing. So we currently have open 600 approximately individuals for all of our services, kids, adults, SGD, and crisis. But the good news is that our staffing levels are, we have 8 QMHPs in person right now. So that means 8 individuals who can perform therapeutic services right here in the building. We do have 4.5 FTE that are virtual, and some of those are Spanish speaking. So if you have individuals who speak Spanish, we are ready and able to serve them in their native languages. And again, I always promote, but we do have in-person med management services 3 days a week. And so if you have individuals who would like to take advantage of that, we do require that new individuals do have an assessment with our QMHPs in order to receive that service. So anyway, if you have referrals or have individuals who, we can help meet their needs, go ahead and send us a referral. That's it.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Do we have any questions for Amanda? All right, well then we can move on to emergency management. Randy Thorpe is not available this morning. He's in another meeting, but he sent his update, so I'll read it. This is from Randy. He says, the news from the emergency department is that FEMA is meeting with the City of Manzanita, County Public Works, and the Port of Tillamook Bay this week to go over their applications for public disaster assistance. That's following the last set of storms. This is the first step in the application process, and things are looking good for federal assistance. So fingers crossed on that. Governor Kotek did sign a statewide disaster declaration last week and has formally requested a presidential declaration for the state. So in the December storms here, I believe Tillamook County came in at $20 million damage throughout the county just here. So certainly there was a lot of damage in other counties. So that's very good news, and we will be hopeful for the funding that comes from that disaster declaration if that happens. And it's important for people to know that sometimes the damage that occurs in storms is more than the county could possibly pay for. And so we are reliant upon FEMA to help fund those repairs. So that's good news. And let's move on to the Board of County Commissioners, and we'll start with Commissioner Scar.
Good morning. Thank you. Just to tack on quickly to perhaps the FEMA part, I had an opportunity this past week to speak with Dr. Colbert, who was the director of Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. I reached out just to talk about a couple of different things. One of them was the climate order that the governor had put forward a month or two ago, and ODFW was one of the agencies that is tasked with leading that work, along with the Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board. So I wanted to get a beat on kind of what they were thinking, because it specifically calls out the working lands of Oregon as a place and a space to improve climate resilience work, and was happy to hear from her that really this is directed toward a couple different things, largely decisions that state government will make. It's not a regulatory thing that's going to come down to everyone who has a business on the working lands, but it is really for state decision making, and that the goal will simply to be, as decisions have to be made, how do we make sure that we are looking beyond today and into the future toward climate resilience? And a great example of that is at the Trask River Fish Hatchery. This is something they did already, but it is in line with the types of things they're talking about. When they built their new hatch house there, one of the things they did is they added a water chiller, which is something that will allow them to control the growth of their small fish. As water temperatures rise in the river, they'll have control over their water temperatures. So it's looking at these kinds of activities for state agencies related, again, to working lands, working waters, these types of things. So was happy to hear that it is not something that appears to be coming at us in a regulatory way for others. I did, however, encourage and invite her to bring into the conversation those who do manage our private working lands as well, because we know that our forestry partners here in Tillamook County are always looking at what is best practice and how will they really be climate resilient, because as we know, it takes trees quite a long time to grow before they're ready to be harvested as a timber crop. So they're working on this already, and with great science and intent. So it was a good conversation, was happy to have that. The other piece about that is some of you may or may not know that up at the ODF Department of Corrections Forest Camp in the woods, there is a fish rearing pond and a fish rearing production of about 50,000 spring chinook that are part of our fisheries here. And during this last storm, the water intake was undermined at that facility, and they are working on putting that back together, but it did require the early release of some fish from up there. I believe there were some steelhead that were in the pond that were released at a smaller size than we would have liked to see, but it due to the loss of water at the intake was necessary. So they're working on repairing that. I have let them know that we are doing the FEMA work, and we'll see if that rolls in, because while the intake did not fail until this past week, I'm certain we could find the undermining related to these early December storms for which we have the emergency declaration. So just interesting things I get to do in my work. Talking with the department heads at the state level, and in this case, talking fish. Other couple of things that I'll bring up, the forest management plan. I think that Commissioner Fournier and I may have both mentioned this last week, but we did go last Tuesday night and testify, provide public comment on the forest management plan. That opportunity for public comment is open through January 31st. So if you are interested, please take a look at the Western Forests State Management Plan. You can find it online and you can make public comment related to that. The last thing I'm going to bring up is just a public service announcement. Frankly, I had the opportunity this week to go and donate blood, actually last week, to go and donate blood with the American Red Cross. The blood donation blood drive was held at Adventist Health. Their next one is going to be March 19th, and there is a blood shortage out there, and it's really important that people give blood. It doesn't take very long. I think I was only hooked up to the machine for maybe 7 minutes, something like 5 to 7 minutes. Takes a little bit of time checking in and then making sure you're not going to pass out before you leave. But it's something we can all do to help our community. So I invite you and encourage you to download actually the American Red Cross app to your phone. It will give you the opportunity to schedule a blood donation right there. You can tell it what locations you're interested in, and it will remind you each time you are eligible to donate. So that's my public service announcement for the day, and I will turn it back to you, Commissioner Bell. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I did not know that there's a blood shortage right now, so thank you very much for bringing that up. Well, Commissioner Fournier, would you like to go next? Commissioner, if you're talking, you're muted. I wonder if we lost him. Well, I'll give my update, and Commissioner Fournier, if you're with us or you rejoin us, just jump on in and let me know. We all three of us had the opportunity to go to the Tillamook Area Chamber Awards banquet this weekend, and it was delightful as always. It's a terrific event, great food, great energy, lots of people, and it was. I just got a message from Commissioner Fournier that he got disconnected, so hopefully he'll be able to get back on. The Citizen Award. Oh, hey, okay. So go ahead, and I'll come back to myself.
Sorry about that. Somehow got disconnected. I am in my car, but I just want to give a quick update. Code enforcement wise, I've been talking about, we have a little bit of a working group or task force with the Sheriff's Office, Solid Waste, Public Works, and Community Development on several properties within Tillamook County, all over the county that have been in violation of codes with cars parked along the road, abandoned RVs, appliances, non-operable cars, all kinds of some building without permits. I just wanted to give an update that enforcement action is actually beginning this week. The sheriff did a really good update on his Facebook page. If anybody wants to check that out, kind of explains the complicated process of compliance where we have to send letters and stuff. Some of these properties have already had multiple letters. So we're actually jumping to an enforcement stance where they'll have 30 days, and then they could be fined between $500 to $1,000 a day for a violation. So I wanted the public to know that the county is taking this stuff serious, and compliance has started. It does take time. I'm hoping that we will start seeing some cleanup at some of these well-known properties. One of which we discovered was actually owned by the federal government. It was in HUD's ownership, and they were honestly unaware of it, I think, because of general bureaucracy. So they are now aware, and they're working with our county council on trying to clean up that property as well. So a lot of movement there, and I also want to just really thank Sheriff's Office and actually State Police too, because I know that they helped tag. We had a couple of abandoned trailers parked on 131, which is a state highway. So it's really their jurisdiction, but luckily they're working together with us, and the sheriff has made a point of saying that he will be on top of taking care of these derelict and abandoned trailers that are left along the roadside. So things are moving in the right direction. I just want to give people that update because I know they're concerned, and they think we're not doing anything. We are actually doing a lot, and it's just unfortunately takes a little bit of time. So that's all I've got for this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I was talking about the Tillamook Area Chamber Community Awards Banquet, which was delightful. And the highlight for me were the community awards. And a couple of them that were particularly moving to me were there was a special award, a special like lifetime. Now I don't remember the exact wording, but it was lifetime of community investment. Like, thank you, community impact. That award went to Jerry Dove. It was a special award, not advertised, not anticipated. It was a complete surprise to Jerry Dove. So bless his heart, he was totally amazed and moved, and as was the room. So Jerry Dove got a standing ovation, and it was well deserved. It was very thoughtful. I'm grateful to the chamber that they created a special award for Jerry Dove, because he really does and has done so much for our community for such a long time. And thoughts and prayers to Jerry and Jonna, because Jonna is struggling. Jerry has said so publicly on Facebook and asked for prayers for Jonna. So I am repeating that from Jerry's public page. And also, Barbara McCann from North Tillamook County was honored as Citizen of the Year. She was equally amazed. She's a very humble woman. She never expected to win. She had it in her head that only people from Central County win ever. And so she didn't think enough people knew her, et cetera. So that was really, really great. Barbara has been a tireless public servant in North Tillamook County for decades, 3 decades easily, since the 90s. In the 90s, she was part of the crew that helped start the North County Recreation District. After that, the building that they're in now was a school. The school closed. They started this recreation district, which is really, it's a hub for the community. There are all kinds of things that happen there, including the fabulous new pool that Barbara helped bring in the last of the funding for, and but also there's a gym there. There's an art gallery. There's an event space. There's a fabulous theater. There's childcare. It's really like the living room of the community, and it makes a huge difference in that community in terms of livability and bringing people together and providing services and all of those things for a little tiny community. The North County Recreation District makes a huge difference, and Barbara has been integral to all of that for over 30 years. So, she's one of those people who just has worked and worked and worked and kept her head down and never been in the public eye. And so she was speechless to be awarded Citizen of the Year. So that was wonderful to be able to witness, and very well deserved. And also the TBCC nursing program won Program of the Year, which was fabulous. So the TBCC team came up to the stage, and the president invited me to come up with them because I'm the chair of the board. And it was really an honor, and to recognize the value that program brings to our community was a wonderful thing. And also to thank the community for supporting the bond for the new healthcare education building. The nursing program just, it allows local people to want to live here and work here and not have to move away to go to college and be able to earn a living wage, a family wage. It's really, it benefits our students, it benefits our economy, it benefits our healthcare system in general, it benefits everything. So that was also well deserved, and a joy for me to participate in that receiving that award. And I have more fabulous TBCC news. I was there at the college yesterday for a meeting, and the new building is done. It's done inside. They're doing some finish work, and they haven't fully moved in. But I got to have a meeting with the president in his new office. There's some furniture in there. His stuff isn't in there yet, but it was very exciting to be there. And I took a bunch of pictures, and I'll post them to my commissioner page later today if you're interested. But The building is gorgeous. And as I was walking through it, talking to President Gerald about it, I was so grateful to this community for supporting the bond, because that building was paid for with a bond from taxpayers that was matched by the state. And it's extraordinary, and it's an investment for our community. That's for us. That's for all of us, our children, our grandchildren, and it's fabulous. The spaces to train healthcare careers are just wonderful. It's just, it looks like going into a brand new hospital, some of the classrooms, which it should, because that's what we're training people to do. So that is so exciting to me. It's not, the board will have our first meeting in the new boardroom in February. So yeah, right around the corner. And I want to say the new boardroom is gorgeous, and it will be available when the building is open to the public and everything's done, finished. The boardroom will be available for people for groups to reserve, to use for. I was thinking, oh man, the boardroom is really nice, and it will be available for things like, board retreats or community meetings. And so that's a great resource. And also the community meeting space will be, it's a big space that will be available for events. There's a catering kitchen, not a full commercial kitchen, but a catering kitchen, and just a fabulous space. So what isn't done yet is the exterior, not of the building, but the landscaping. And there were some issues with drainage, which is unfortunate, because that's like one of the first things that happens is under the ground. So some of that isn't working correctly, so it's going to need to be repaired or replaced. So the exterior landscape part isn't finished yet, but the building is amazing. And thanks to the community, bravo to all of you who support the work of the college. And with that, I will move on to the cities and the city of Manzanita. Do we have anyone on from the city of Manzanita?
Hi, good morning, Commissioner Bell. This is Linda Kozlowski from Manzanita.
Good morning, Linda.
Can you? Well, I just have to say, I am so pleased that Barbara McLaughlin got the Citizen of the Year. She is just unbelievable. She has
Linda,
her touch. Yes.
Linda, can I interrupt you for a second and say it's Barbara McCann? I hope I didn't misspeak. Oh, Barbara McCann.
Okay, I misheard that. I don't take anything back, because Barbara McLaughlin is wonderful, but
she is.
Yeah, sorry about that. And thanks for correcting me on that, by the way, Commissioner Bell. So our Public Works Department in Manzanita is completing the soil stabilization from the landslide we had about a month ago. I'm not sure whether the meeting with FEMA in Manzanita has to do with that, but I hope it does, and that would be really helpful in terms of matching funds for the city. Classic Street is the connector with the Nehalem Bay State Park, and our affordable housing project continues to be on time and on budget, which is always exciting. We are hard at work right now on our comprehensive plan. Our project advisory steering committee is planning a community summit on economic development for the comprehensive plan. It should happen sometime in March. We don't have a specific date yet, but that should be coming out soon. It's always good to check the website under Envision Manzanita, because that has all the information and all the work that has already been done and adopted. We expect the final draft to be earlier or about midsummer. So we're really pleased with the movement of the comprehensive plan, because it's really complicated, and getting as much public input as possible is really critical. Lastly, we have a budget committee opening the criteria and applications on our website. Applications are due by February 6th, and that's my report this morning.
Thank you so much, Linda. I'm grateful to you for being on this call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone on from the city of Nehalem or Wheeler? Hello. How about Rockaway Beach?
Good morning, Tillamook County. Charles McNeely, Mayor of Rockaway Beach here.
Good morning, Mayor.
The Tillamook Coast Visitors Association, and some of us know them as TCVA, is currently undergoing a period of reorganization and is transitioning away from providing direct marketing and promotional services for the city of Rockaway Beach. Despite this transition, TCVA will continue administering the city's facade improvement and off-season marketing grant programs through at least June 2026. These grants provide substantial and meaningful support for our local business community. As the city and TCVA navigate this organizational transition, please note that the next round of facade and off-season marketing grants may be delayed. Staff will keep our council and the business community informed as schedules are finalized. I must say that the TCVA has been an incredible partner for us. Following years of economic stagnation, the city's 7 years of strategic investment of transient lodging tax dollars through TCVA played a significant role in advancing an economic turnaround for Rockaway Beach. While it is regrettable that this long-standing partnership is coming to an end, the transition also presents an opportunity. It gives the city space to envision its next phase of economic development and tourism promotion. City Manager Shepherd looks forward to beginning those conversations with our city council and the community as we plan Rockaway Beach's next big step forward. The city is proud and deeply appreciative of the work the Tillamook Coast Visitors Association has delivered over the years. TCVA's partnership with Rockaway Beach has helped steadily increase visitors' numbers, culminating in record transient lodging tax revenue last summer. These results reflect the success of coordinated and sustained destination marketing efforts. We are working closely with Nan Devlin to ensure the city's current promotional efforts remain in place through June 30th. Maintaining uninterrupted promotion is critical. The city cannot afford to lose momentum as both municipal revenues and our local business community depend on strong, consistent visitation. Our community grant program provides support for nonprofit and not-for-profit organizations and community entities that serve the Rockaway Beach community. The small community grant is for requests up to $4,999, and the large community grant is for requests from $5,000 to $20,000. The city will begin accepting applications on February 2nd, with information and applications available under Community and Businesses on the city website. Public Works Director Mertz and City Manager Shepherd met with Tillamook Bay Port General Manager Michelle Bradley for a productive discussion about a potential lease of Port of Tillamook Bay property to expand and improve parking in downtown Rockaway Beach. Following their meeting, General Manager Bradley committed to working with the city on a draft lease for the proposed area. City staff have also reached out to the Oregon Department of Transportation to discuss next steps, including providing ODOT with a draft of the parking plan and arranging an on-site meeting to determine the best approach for maximizing parking. And as I mentioned before, we definitely need to increase parking with all the new businesses that have dropped into our commercial district. Coordination with the Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad is also part of the process. So we look forward to moving forward and increasing parking spaces in Rockaway Beach. And then last, Phil Chick, Mayor of the City of Nehalem, is coordinating a new Special Olympics Oregon Polar Plunge event in Rockaway Beach. This event is scheduled for Saturday, February 28th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Lake Lido Boat Launch. This is a great opportunity to support the Special Olympics program organization and all the valuable work they do in our community and statewide. I understand that our fire department will be attending in support of the event. And full disclosure, I will be there, but I am not plunging. Back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Do we have anyone on from the city of Garibaldi? How about Bay City?
Good morning. This is Leanne Welch, Mayor of Bay City.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. So I would like to talk about a public workshop we're having this Thursday. So in 2024, the state legislature passed a bill known as Senate Bill 1537. This provides qualifying local governments a one-time option to add acres of net residential land to our urban growth boundary. And Bay City is one of the several local governments that qualify for this. So this is a public meeting this Thursday, January 29th at 5 p.m. at the Bay City City Hall to listen to the community about what's important as we consider including this property into the Bay City urban growth boundary. This property is located near the intersection of Bewley's and Vaughn Street on the one side, and the other side is Alderbrook Loop Road. So the land added to the city through this process will require a minimum 30% housing units to be affordable. And affordable in this context is based on a household of 4, making 80% of the area median income if they are renting, or 130% of the AMI if they're purchasing a home. So again, this is a listening session for us, the city, and for the people that are considering developing this property to hear from the community about what's important to include this property or what they would like to not see as part of this. So if you're interested, please join us this Thursday, January 29th at 5 p.m. And that's what I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. It's very exciting to consider the new housing possibilities in Bay City. So thank you for that work.
You're welcome.
Do we have Sean Lewis with us this morning from the city of Tillamook?
You do, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we want to start this morning just with a couple of reminders. We have 2 open city council seats still. If anybody's interested in being a part of our city council, please come see us at City Hall. We have the survey from RCAC that has gone out and should have hit your mailboxes last week. Again, about 500 surveys went out to residents within the boundaries of Tillamook, and those were addressed to property owners. And so we want to make sure we need to get 90% of those back. So we're hopeful for our early counts that we're trending in the right direction. But just a reminder, if you know somebody that got a survey, please remind them to please submit that survey to us promptly. We are proud to say that with the sunny weather, Coatesville Park has reopened and is available for use of the playground that is there and the new rubberized surface that makes it so the kids, if they fall or land a little bit harder, that they're not skinning their knees or breaking any bones. That's a softer surface for them to play on, and that's a great thing for our community. Finally, we've been asked by our business community to step up efforts in our downtown area in regards to parking enforcement. We have several business owners that have approached the city over the last few months talking about how with the limited parking that we have in our downtown, it is struggling for them to always have the parking be full with people that are overstaying the 2-hour time limit. And so this past week, we have begun enforcement and education. We've actually been doing it for a couple of weeks, but helping with education on where parking can be. Extended parking is in the parking lots behind our Main Street and Pacific Avenue areas. There's plenty of public parking available. But on Main Street and Pacific Avenue, we just remind you that those parking stalls on the street are limited to 2 hours in length. And just for informational purposes, we issued 18 warnings on Saturday from people that were overextended and parking more than 2 hours in those stalls. So as a help to our business community, come shop downtown and please make sure that you're parking appropriately and that you're not lingering in those stalls so that others can come and enjoy, and we can help our business community in that way. That is our report. Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Sean. Well, we are through our agenda items, and so I'd like to say thank you to everyone who participates in this call. Thank you to everyone who listens. I regularly hear from people who talk about that they really appreciate this call. Even people who moved out of town and want to stay connected are listening to the recordings through the KTIL website. You can find the recordings there. And thank you, as always, to KTIL for broadcasting. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and this meeting is adjourned at 8:55. Thanks.